All right. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Paul Trani here. Let's play a little background music. We're going to get this Monday morning started. Want to welcome everyone. Yes. Good to see you, Paul Alvarez, Mitch. Might be a new intro to you. Fairly new by Oddfellows. Big thanks to them for all the graphics, really. And might be taking some inspiration from them. So good to see you here. Good to see you, Jake. VDLD Designers, cool. Kaylin, good to have everybody here. So we're going to get into some graphic design. Let me know if you can hear me okay and all is well. I think it sounded pretty good. Let's turn down this music just a touch. Maybe it's just a little loud in my ears. But let's get this party started, shall we? Sweet. All right. So let me know where you're hailing from. I will keep tabs on chat. If you're joining me on YouTube, hop over to behance.net/live. That'd be great. And let's keep this conversation going. What's up, Paco? Good to see you. He was here in Colorado, which is where I'm broadcasting from. So let me know where you're from. I'm going to switch gears and dive into the content and really schedule for this week, just so you know. We have a graphic design week. The one and only Christine Arth is going to be with us with Michael Jarrett. 9 to 11 a.m. This is all starting tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You got it. That's where that's what we're going to be doing. So join us tomorrow, same time, and Wednesday and Thursday, and then even Friday we have some things going on. We also have fair projects. So just so you know, it's actually Sabrina and Maxime are going to be with Kathleen Martin, so that'll be super cool, and Christy Stevens. So it's an all-female lineup, which is all totally awesome. So, all right. Super cool week we have lined up. What's up, Felicia? Good to see you here. Always good to see some friendly faces if we can. Is that a new profile pic? Northern Virginia's here, Santa Clara. Oh, not far away from Adobe. All right, I'm going to just kind of click through what I'm going to work on. This is graphic design, so it's like, what does that mean? It's such a broad subject, right? How do you, how to dissect that? So basically what I'm going to make is I'm going to make a poster for a fictional Adobe Live Design conference. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work on, right? Just a fictional Adobe Live Design conference. Okay, so that is the goal. I'm going to be using some new fonts that were added to Typekit, about 600 plus fonts added to Typekit, and that's what I'm going to do, and also use Illustrator and Photoshop. So Palestine is here as well. Chile is here. Awesome. Well, a very cool. Welcome, everyone. Switching gears, and I will show you my screen in a second. Feel free to share this with your family, your friends, your enemies, with everybody, right? I'll just kind of click over. You can kind of see just some ideas that I was playing with, something kind of like this, just to get you excited about what I'm going to build, right? So the idea of having, just some cool illustration, something that's kind of dynamic. I was thinking something kind of flat, but I really like the idea, excuse me, of adding some nice gradients in here as well. So I can probably take advantage of that. I do have some swatches, not a whole lot, but do I switch it up and just go with that cool style of gradient where it's like, sort of purple to, or a blue to a pink, something like that. So I might do something like that. That's actually kind of nice. But this is kind of what we're going to make. It's going to be an Adobe Live Design conference. So I'll think of a name. Actually, you could help me think of a name. That'd be fantastic. Van Dam or Ashur or Sebastian, Hazel, if you have an idea for an Adobe Live Design conference. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be designing. Adobe Live Design conference. So it could be like live. We could literally call it live, something like that. Right now, all I have is Adobe Live Design Conference. So I think it needs to be a little more fun, right? Maybe it needs to be something like LVE or something. stands for live. I don't know. Something like that. That might be a cool name. But less on the brainstorming side, more on how to create a poster in Illustrator and then finishing it in Photoshop. So hopefully that works for you. Yeah, so that is the plan. So let's get this party started, shall we? And I'm going to show you probably the tricks that I have been using the most, by the way. So, ooh, do you like a live? Maybe we'll do a live. Ooh, that's good. Ooh, that's good. Oh, I love it. Hazel nails it out of the gate. I love it. Thank you so much, Hazel. We could just go with something like alive. Let's go all caps, A-L-I-V-E. And we'll make sure we space that out. Shortcut keys, holding an Option Command, right arrow can space that out. I love it. Alive. The Adobe Live Design Conference. You might be wondering what font I'm using, right? Well, this is one of the new monospace fonts available through Typekit. So if I'll just click over to my browser, you can see it right here. We released over 600 monotape fonts added to Typekit a couple weeks ago, and you can see Bengue. I assume that's how you say that. Avant-garde is what I'm using, because if you do a little bit of research, the very first, like if you look at some of the packaging, like sort of almost like pre-Adobe logo, you'll see that it looks like it's made with avant-garde, right? I don't have time to do the research, but I have a sneaking suspicion they used avant-garde in marketing materials 30 years ago, just because I've seen some graphics. I'll have to do some more research, but nonetheless, you know, again, this is live and talking about Adobe through the years, but in general, I really like Rockwell Nova as well. So take advantage of these fonts. You can see them right in here, and there's a lot to browse. Of course, you can dive in and see all the monotape fonts right in here. And taking that, not Anita, Alive, that's what we'll do. Typing that in, and we can kind of get a preview of what this will look like. So there's Rockwell Nova, which I just mentioned, which could also be kind of cool. But I kind of like keeping it clean. Okay, so you like Mitch and Mike, you like .a.live. Okay, cool. All right, we could try that. I'm cool with alive. Yeah, cool. Something like that. Let's do something like this. Okay, this is Illustrator, by the way. I haven't even quite started. Let me actually just take these elements, and I'm going to start from the top, and then we'll do some tricks in here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do File, New. I have templates that I can start from. I can go into Print, and you can see right in here, you can see there's already sort of this sunset poster that I can use. So I can use some of these poster sets as a starting point if I want to, right? In fact, let's try the Sunset Life one. Let's open it up. Just to give you an idea, we can sync these fonts. Bebas New, but I want to use Rockwell, something like that. That'll sync. And this isn't bad. This might be okay. This might be a good starting point. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's cheating since I am supposed to, my goal is to show you Illustrator. What I do is I'll go to File, New, and I want to show you this because I have this Paul's, right? So I've made a template file for myself. And this is what I'll typically do because this gives me, and yes, I will change the size to 24 inches by 36 inches. That's the easy part to do. Changing the size is easy. I just changed it to poster size. And it looks like this template file doesn't have anything in it. The main thing that I put in here are all these beautiful colors right over here. So this is what I'll typically do is I'll add all these beautiful swatches, and I can change the default font. And not only that, if you make your own custom template file, you'll have all your brushes. So I have all this content ready to go because I hate not having this stuff. We know gradients are hot. You don't know how many times I've mixed these gradients, right? So the idea of making a template file, let's see if I still have that path. Oh, I do not. But I can point you in the right direction on where to put that one Illustrator file. You make one Illustrator file, right? You save it to the presets folder, right? Oh, you're too kind, Eric. I'm a real Illustrator and XD master. Thank you so much, sir. And Photoshop and other tools, because I've been doing this a long time. But I love this. Oh, by the way, this is another thing I do for setting up your files. Look, I'll just zoom out. I'll typically turn off all these properties. So here's my artboard. This is poster size. I'll turn that off. But all these preferences, hide artboards. I usually hide artboards when I'm starting. I'm like, you know what? Let's not worry about having any borders or any lines. Hide all those artboards, and then let me just work. I'll worry about the size later, because again, this is resolution independent, right? So I can start to work and paste this in. We have this great idea, and again, I can always toggle that, show artboards, hide artboards, like that, like that. But that's not bad. We can drop this in. Yeah, I'm not an man. I am not an Audition expert. I can use it, but what you don't know, Tim, is my career started out doing video production. I worked for a television network using After Effects before it was even called After Effects. We can do a quiz. I could tell you. Does anybody even know what After Effects was? What was the company? What was it before it was Adobe After Effects? All right. I used it that long ago. Back when it was called Cosa After Effects. Okay, so maybe does that work? Do we do something like that, right? So I just put a dot right in there. So I'm saying Adobe Live, something like that. Something like that. Okay. So Shift Command H, if that's what you're asking, Van Dam, for hiding the artboards. Shift Command H, just like that. So we'll go with something like that, and we'll worry about the Adobe logo later, because this is all about the community, right? It's not even about what we're doing here. I've typed in some text, right? I'm using this monospace font, right? Oftentimes I'll just have, let me even scoot this over. I'll just have the properties panel open, right? Kind of like that. And I'll probably even move this over. Let's nest it off to the side right over there. All right. These are the panels I usually like to have up, right? I like to have the properties panel up, right? The properties panel is going to have all the properties that you need, of course, right? Everything. So right in here, I don't need to have the character or the paragraph styles or any of the paragraph panel up. I can just jump in here and kind of toggle through and change the font if I want to, and change the fill to white in this case. Do something like that. Okay. Spacing it out. I did this earlier. Option Command right arrow to kind of space that out, because we want this to be sort of almost justified with the text above it, like that. So let's select both of those. And notice what happens. Selected both of these. Or I can select these three items. I could left justify them, do all that stuff, but look at how my properties panel changes based on what's selected. So Danny, I don't know if you're aware of this, but since I have three objects selected, it gives me Pathfinder options and my alignment options. So I don't need to have those panels open. So I feel like Illustrator is much cleaner these days, right? Selecting that text as well. Let's make sure everything's aligned. It shifts a little bit, which is perfect, because if it wasn't perfect, it would bother all of us designers. So if you're just joining me, thank you for joining me. 3 days of live designing this week, all graphic design related, starting tomorrow. This is getting started in Illustrator, basically focusing on a poster. Okay, so I've drawn some simple shapes like this. I think this actually is already looking really strong. And anytime I have a design looking really strong, this could be just like the masthead or something, I'll typically select it all and duplicate it, right? I can hold down the Alt key and then the Shift key to constrain it, and I'll pull that down like that. Okay, here, Kevin Worth is saying put the white square between the A and the L instead of a black one. So yeah, this is a good point, because that's why I duplicate this. I'd say, hey, you know what, is this even working? it might not be working. So what other things can we try? And that's why I like live streaming. Like selfishly, you know, I can get some feedback immediately from everyone. Is it something like that? I don't know. We'll try different options is basically what it comes down to, right? That's all we're doing here. Then I can have you vote as the audience. See, and the reason I didn't like this is there's so much spacing, right? That's the issue. And even if I do some, you know, some minor tweaking, if I hold down the Option key, it'll do it by 1 point. It adjusts the kerning. So maybe something like that. Okay, so these are 2 different options. Let's get rid of that because that's not working. Let's bring that up like that. This could be a different color, potentially. Is this a different color? Do we throw red in there, right? Throw in an Adobe red. Don't judge me because it's not going to be the exact red, but oh yeah, boom. Maybe that's it. All right, we are looking good. This one we've added way too much, like too much designing is happening here. But we have these 2 versions, right? And I'm just designing live in Illustrator. Oh, Paul Alvarez says a circle to just kind of have some contrast. Okay, so let's do that. In fact, I'm gonna just draw over this. Couple different ways we could do this. I'm just going to draw this fancy circle over it. Let's get rid of that, tighten it up. Okay, so this brings me to my next point. So we all know how to draw shapes, right? We get it. We know how to take and draw out a square and a rectangle and all that stuff, and circles and all that stuff, and rounded rectangles and all that stuff. Typically what I'll do, and thank you so much for bringing this up, because I'd want to actually take this and turn it into a circle just by grabbing these little control points in the corners. See those right there? Make it a little larger for you. That little control point, right? I can grab it, and it's going to curve in those corners. Zoop. If I do it a lot, we could see we can make a square a circle with no problem. Oh, I love the simplicity of this. You are so good. Approve I would make the A red, but then it's gonna be too much of a contrast, and you're not gonna read it as. I'm trying to read this as alive still. So we have to have the colors of the text the same, the font, all these items. I think we've messed with it enough. I think all it needs is this circle, and. All right, so I'm trying to see who said this. Was it who said making it a circle? Yeah, you guys are good. You designers are good. I don't know who said this, but it is a team, and when we're brainstorming, hey, there is no wrong, right? We're all just doing the best we can. We're all just trying to get by. It's like brainstorming design. And I secretly, selfishly get all the credit for doing this work. Shame on me. But I love this. And typically when it comes to sort of like logo design, you try it on different, different, for different formats, essentially. Let's take this, move this down. This is so fun. Is everybody having fun today? You better be. Life's too short to not have fun and meaningful experiences. Keep us alive. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Boom. Take this. What are we gonna do? And make it white, or excuse me, make it black. And then this even works, because you know what this looks like? We are so good. This is essentially like almost like a record button. That's what I think of when I think of this. And when you hit record, when are you hitting record? You're hitting record when something is live. So it works for this conference. You are good. Let's drop this in. Oops, sorry about that crazy zooming. So this is what I do in this case. Typically when I see something like this, I typically kind of want to give it some weight. Let's change the color of this. And again, this is all about working in Illustrator and everything. Let's drag this over. Boop. There we go. Let's not overthink it, huh? Let's not overthink it. All right, 300, let's go 250, 240, 240. Just adjusting the kerning and the spacing of those letters. Okay, so that's what we have. We have our logo, right? Let's get into designing our poster. So this is like an announcement for this conference, and I'm gonna start, maybe I'll grab everybody's names. That's what I wanna do. That'd be so fun. All right, so this is looking great. This is pretty strong. I could actually thicken this up a touch. Just a number of things we can do. Again, we'll still think through this, but let's get into sort of some more designing, right? So Shift Command H will hide the artboard or show the artboard. We have our logos. Sure, this is exactly what you do. Isn't this how it looks? Like you have you have everything off of your like artboard, and then you kind of bring things in, but it's usually super messy outside of your artboard, and that's a good thing, right? It's all good. All right. Okay. This needs some imagery, right? This is Adobe Live Design Conference. There's a number of things we can do. I feel like I can add icons and different things in here, but this is live, and I think we need to show sort of the spirit of what's happening, right? And let me just kind of move this over. And just do this really fast. Thank you so much for joining me. Is everybody having a good day, huh? Hopefully so. All right. Make sure you share this with your friends. I don't know, share it, heart it, like it, do all that fun stuff. Keep us in business. All right, so have that done. Let me switch back over. Just answering a question off to the side. You don't need to know about that. Let's add some human element, right? So I might go out and use potentially some images that I have, right? It has to be something awesome. Right, so we could add in some potential artwork that I've created. Right, we could do some fun things like that. Some imagery of people is what I might actually go with, but oftentimes I'll end up using something like stock.adobe.com. So maybe that's where we'll go right now. Ooh, Jan Eric. Jan Eric, good call. Look at how you reversed it and it says something bad. You're funny. Hardik, you said the previous streams, was there a previous stream before mine that you guys are talking about that I do not know of? So what are we going to do here? Yeah, let me know. I'm not giving away anything right now, but that doesn't mean that's not going to change. So here I am using Adobe Stock. I can jump in here, searching, and then ultimately I'm going to save it to my Creative Cloud library to be used everywhere. So that's what I'm doing. So here I'm just kind of thinking about some cool artwork I can incorporate. And this is where I just kind of do my brainstorming. What do? Come in here. Let's add a library. We'll call it Adobe Live. Oh, there's already one there. What am I looking at? Syncing it to Adobe Live just like that. And getting some fun imagery to use in there. Why not? Just saving previews to some of these. In fact, let's do this. Let's design some of these things. And maybe even use some photos as inspiration. Okay, so typically when you're working in Illustrator, by the way, this is syncing. Here are my assets, bringing those in. These might be some nice backgrounds. Like that. Shortcut key, Command Shift, opening bracket. We'll send to the back. What do we have? A problem here, right? Because we can't see this. Let's change it to white. Changing this text to white as well. A couple different things we can do here. We can overlay. We could either do a drop shadow to make this, to set this off. We basically need to add contrast, right? So there's about 1,000 different ways we can do this. Maybe I bring in my panel from earlier. Like that. And adjusting the opacity. Okay, one thought, right? So we're taking this just like we did with the logos. We're going to start creating different posters with different styles, right? So what do? We use our artboard tool right over here. Here's our little artboard tool. We're going to add a new artboard, right? And it is going to be 24 inches by 36 inches. How's everyone doing? Oh, Eric, you're cool enough to be an Adobe employee. Silly. Oh, let's do this. Here's another idea. Again, we're going to come up with 1,000 different ideas, and we're going to learn Illustrator along the way. What if I take this text, this is what I'm thinking about, and making a clipping mask, right? So I have this cool texture, and I'm like, oh, I want this texture to be inside of that text. So select both those items. Make sure the item on top is the one that is going to get filled with the texture behind it. You do a right click. What do? You make it a clipping mask. All right. Yes. Make clipping mask. Done. Boom. That looks super cool. And the font I'm using is it an Avant-Garde? Let me double check. Yep. It is ITC Avant-Garde Gothic Pro. It happens to be, and on cue, by the way, it's as if you work for Adobe, but essentially it's one of the special 600 plus monotype fonts that we've added to Typekit. So that's what I ended up using, right? So all these fonts are actually are now part of Typekit, right? So that's where it came from, ITC Avant-Garde. Okay, we have that done. Switching over. We can see this looks fun, right? We're coming up with more ideas, right? That looks good. Fun stuff. Alive. You get the idea. You know what this needs? This needs this fun butterfly. In fact, if you're adding things from Creative Cloud, I'm bringing in assets. I actually created this butterfly earlier. I've created it another time, right? So here it is. I'm trying to zoom in on it. But essentially, I'm going to place this in here. So what I can do is I can place a copy, right? because I want to break the link. I just want to place a copy of this. So now when I drop it in here, it's going to place that copy. Let's go ahead, embed, ungroup. Basically, I want all of the Bezier, you know, all of the vectors for this item, right? There we go. Cool.
Rivers have been so polluted by the refuse from our towns and factories that they are often a menace to health.
Okay. There we go. Got it. Do I have it?
Serve the greatest good for the greatest number.
Wait for it.
For the longest.
There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. There we go. Got it. I just had to break this apart. I'm trying to just isolate all these different parts. So I can just grab these two sides. And okay, so let's take a look at this. This is so annoying, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. If you're using artwork that you didn't create, and technically I even created this, right? So sometimes when you bring things in or find things elsewhere, you don't know how it's put together, right? And you can see all these elements off to the side. These are individual circles and shapes that were drawn that I'm trying to decipher, essentially. And if you select an item, you'll notice in the properties panel, it's going to highlight it over here. So I can actually see that this is part of this wing. And that's how things are brought in. So I need to release that crazy clipping mask because there's all these different clipping groups in here. Or I could just start deleting them. Anyway, I did all that to get to this one part. This is all I needed. Just that little piece. Let's blow that away. Let's take this. Flip it. There we go. We could do some more things. Essentially what I want to do is I want to maybe skew these a little bit. Right in here, we have this shear tool because I want to make this look a little 3D. Okay, a couple different ways we could do that, but I'm going to use the shear tool. Selecting the shear, clicking right in the center is going to give me my control point, and then I can kind of shear it any way I want. So I can kind of bring it up and give it a little bit of an angle. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's even a little subtle. Let's go like that. There we go. That's all I wanted to do. I'm not trying to make this too complex. All right, that took too much time. That's what happens sometimes if you're using assets from other places. You may or may not have what you need. Rotating that, dropping that in. This is all created sort of in vector, and we're just having some fun with this. It's a live design conference. We can add some more fun things, some fun lines, for instance. Let's get a little bit more abstract with this as well. Haven't really talked about using the pen tool or drawing. All right. All right, so I could use the pen tool, right? And let's just create some cool sort of like waves in the background, right? So that's what we'll do. In fact, we'll start with a different design. Remember, here's two of them. Let's start one more because it's turning out pretty well. I wonder if there is the sort of poster size in here. Nope. 24 inches by 36 inches. There we go. See how many designs I can have in here. This is going to be our fun abstract one. Okay, pasting this in. Here we go. Let's create some fun backgrounds behind this. I'm going to use actually the pen tool is where I can start. So if I click and then if I do a click and drag, we'll get these different curves, right? Curving that around, kind of something like that. Sure, why not? This has a line that is black or red. And if I turn on the fill for this, that's going to be let's move this over. Purple, you can see kind of what happens. That's just cutting through. But here's my line. That looks good. I'm going to increase the stroke size, manipulating it. What I will do a lot of times is access this Bezier right here, this anchor point tool. So it's Shift C, right? We have Shift C to accessing this anchor point tool. This will allow me to click right here and turn that into a sharp point, or click and drag, or use these independently. So this is the most flexible for dealing with manipulating Bezier points. So what I'll do is I'll switch to it, but I'll just do Command C. And then what I'll also do is I'll roll over this line, and this gives me the curvature tool. So from this point, I'll roll over this and then I'll curve it this way. This is easier than worrying about the Bezier points, right? Just roll over, grab it, zoop, zoop, just like that, making your own fun little sound effects or whatever, right? Like that, curving that up like that. So we're just gonna make some fun shapes. That's all I'm doing right here, showing you the pencil tool. And let me just cut this, oops. Do you know the tool most people want to use in Illustrator is the pen tool, right? So again, clicking P for pen, click and drag, you get the idea. There's another shape with a different color, right? Going down here, instead of using the pen tool and manipulating it that way, I'm gonna use the pencil, which is underrated. Right? So Dan, I don't know if you're watching this or see this, but basically using the pencil tool, what I'll do is, a lot of these tools have additional properties. So I'm going to double click on the pencil tool, double click. And now this is what I'll do is I'll take it from being accurate, which kind of makes you look sucky, to smooth. But let me show you accurate first. I'll try to do a smooth curve like I was doing before. Look at how bad that is. That's horrible. Did you know you can actually draw over the same line once it's selected? You can draw over it and recreate that line, right? But it's still too chunky and too much is happening. So I'm going to take it from accurate to smooth, click OK, drawing over that line, and we can see it made it nice and smooth, right? Just like that. Done. Done. How is this music? Are we doing okay? Do you hear, Patricia, do you hear any music? I don't know. Hopefully you do. Because it's super chill now. I like it. We'll have this go from a teal to a purple to a blue. I have 3 lines. And let's do one more. Here's your basic line that I can draw out down at the bottom, maybe. Change that to green. I'm going to use the blend tool, as you could imagine. Right over here, the blend tool. Shoop, boop. This one right here. Blending shapes together, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Click, click. Hold on. Click, click. There we go. Click again, click again. Something like that, just making a cool design, right? Using the blend tool, right? This is pretty cool. This is more along the lines of what I would like to see, right? So it blends all of these lines together, and I can still manipulate these lines, bringing that in, bringing this one in like that, and bringing this in. Super fun, right? This is so fun to work with, even as I start to manipulate these lines. You can see what happens. Okay. All right, that looks pretty cool. Turning on my layers. Bringing this to the back. Changing this to white. There we go. Sweet. Easy. Easy enough, right? To create another poster for Adobe Live Design Conference. You could do this with a number of things. Also, it would be really fun, since this is our record button, is to take this shape, right? Let's take this red shape. Let's duplicate it. Make a larger version. Send it to the back. Change the color. Or not. There we go. Making this one white. And a little larger. All right, cool. Taking these two shapes, using the blend tool, blending one shape into another. You could do this with fonts as well. Again, right in here, what's happening? Using the blend tool. Click, click. There we go. That's not bad. That's not nearly as cool as I wanted it to be. But for each of these blends, you're dealing with this shape, as you can see right here. As I change it and maybe make it darker so you can see what it looks like. Right? I can obviously change what this looks like. This just does a burst. I'm not that impressed. Let's manipulate this line some, right? What do we do? Shift C, right? Gives us this Bezier point. And let's manipulate this Bezier like so. So what I want to do is I want to make this look like sound waves. That's what I'm doing, right? Let's make this look like cool sound waves. It's getting really funky here. Wait for it. I don't mean to ignore chat, but this is more of a live stream for teaching you how to use a product, right? So this is being recorded. So this cool burst is kind of more like what I want, right? So selecting this outer one, right? This color right here, let's just change that entirely to, yes, like that sort of. I'm just creating a cool burst is all I'm doing. See what I did there? Even though I changed the transparency, it gives me that shape. So this is just making a little burst, right? So this is what I want. Just make a cool little burst, right? That we could bring over here. And in fact, cut it, new layer, paste it, move it behind. Kind of like that. That's what I want. Like, let's just do a cool burst. It's alive! Right? So that's all we're doing. Make it kind of cool. This is the most graphic of the posters. And again, I'm making a poster. If I switch over, I have about 10 more minutes, by the way. Maybe a little less. How's everybody doing? You guys having a beautiful day? Heber, good to have you here. Welcome, my friend. Paul Trani here with Adobe Evangelist, covering creating a poster. And in fact, this is what we're doing right now. Designing a poster for a fictional Adobe Live Design Conference. Thank you so much for chat for coming up with the name of Alive. So Adobe Live Design. I just love it. I don't know who mentioned this. I think it was a team effort, but I'll bring this to the powers that be and be like, hey man, this is a good name if ever we do a live conference. And let's not forget about our live conference, which is Adobe Max, which is happening in a couple weeks. Short term as well, we have Christine and Fair Projects. So that would be Sabrina and Maxime, as well as Christy will be with us this week. Live graphic design all this week. And that's what's happening. Going back to our poster. This needs a graphic element down here. We kind of have a couple different scenarios. We have a couple different things going on. I kind of want to add to this one. And let me show you what I was working on. First of all, let me save my file because I've not saved it yet. Poster. And let me just show you, since I'm kind of running out of time, what I'll typically do is I will bring in a photo. So in my libraries, I hopefully have this people. I'll bring in a photo and I'll just kind of start drawing over it and vectorizing it that way. So probably the photo I used is probably pretty old. But I really like this photo. So let's bring in this girl with the amazing hair. Look at the hair, it's so beautiful. She has such beautiful hair. And I think if you're using to use the pen tool, this is a great place to start. It's like, hey, let's draw over this. Because first off, if I, Jan Erik, I can vectorize this and it's not going to be that great. But instead what I will do is I'll actually just use, tools in Photoshop. And oftentimes I'll even just use the pencil tool. So just kind of draw right over her nose like that. Okay, I start to get these smooth lines right up here, kind of drawing down. Like that. Okay, continuing that line. I can also use the pen tool as we showed. P for pen, click, start adding these Bezier points, outlining this lady's face, right? This is typically how I'd work. And our end result would be something more like what I have right here, okay? This is what I've done after going through, making some parts solid, outlining other parts. This is exactly what I want, right? I want her, I got her ear, her hair, all that good stuff. You can see how I put her together. Cool. Just by outlining a photo, right? That's all I did at this point. But I think this will be a good element for this design right here. So that being said, pasting it in. Dr. Jekyll Hyde. I'm actually not working on a Wacom. I'm literally just old school using, oops, I forgot the right hand. Using a mouse. Literally old school using a mouse. But use whatever works for you. Never really got into the Wacom thing. And I feel like I should, because I went to art school and, do illustration. But, yeah. So here she is. Doesn't she look like she's alive? We could have some fun with this. That's not bad, right? It's not bad. Let's access this shape. Let's bring it over here. Again, just thinking of ideas, adding layers. I love the hidden line that's happening, but I also want to have a fun shape on top of this. So pen tool. Actually, no, pencil tool, which is N for pencil. Let's draw a shape. Like that. Fill it. I showed this earlier, but anytime you want to mask something out, you have to have a shape. And then behind that shape is what will get masked. And then right-click, create a clipping mask. But make sure they're both selected. Make clipping mask. There we go. Wanted something kind of like that. I have to bring in this texture down here for it to make more sense, right? So that's what I do in this case. Let's just reflect this, because I think it'll be better if I flipped it vertically and move that over like that. Cool. All right. What have we done? I have no idea. This is what we've done. We've kind of come up with some great ideas. All right, let's get rid of some of these. This one's boring, let's face it. We mainly have these two that we've created that we could start to have some more fun with, right? The key thing when it comes to designing really anything is to keep the style consistent. Since I have this very flat graphic look, I have to keep this flat and graphical. I actually do have a real butterfly, but a real butterfly is not going to look good within this environment. This one obviously is like much more straightforward, but at this point I would start to, you know, maybe add more details for this conference. So right over here, who's going to be speaking there? It's going to be Mahid Hassan. All right, Mahid Hassan's going to be presenting there. Did you know that? You're on the schedule. Jan Eric. Zane is presenting. Eric, of course. Zane, you only go by one word. You're that cool. You're that guy. Hazel. So these are all our amazing speakers. I'd probably take that and use it multiple times to create a cool poster. Jeez, time is running out. Time is running out. Wait for it. Wait for it. And notice as I add more content, I think this second design might work pretty well too, right? We'll take all of these amazing people, which is all of you guys and gals, right in here, and adjust the lighting, of course, to 200 or something crazy, maybe 100. It's a little much. There we go. Using that font, ITC Avant-Garde Bold 0, making it large and doing something cool with it. I'd probably adjust it like that. Anyways, you get the idea. Just playing around with text, showing you what you can do there. Oh, Jan Eric, you want to appreciate it? Okay, well, I guess I will post this to, I guess, to Behance, because Jan Eric told me to. But these are the two posters we made in less than an hour. Fantastic. You are so good. This is a serious brain trust. Sorry for getting a little loud, but this is really cool what we came up with as a team. I really appreciate you and everybody joining me today, creating this poster design in Illustrator. I didn't even really need to use Photoshop today. This can be printed out at any size that I want. And yeah, just really having fun at the end of the day. So I hope you like what you see. Van Dam likes it. I appreciate you, Van Dam, and everybody who just like keeps it so positive and so fun and so smart, because you guys are what do I say instead of guys? You as a gang do quite well. So thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be live. It's going to be super fun, and we're just going to have a great time with these spectacular people. Christine, Fair Projects, Christy, and thank you so much. And don't forget to go ahead and get those Adobe Typekit fonts, those monospace fonts as well. So you can see them right here. I can always post that to chat. But follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters and all that stuff. I'm Paul Trani, or PTRANI on Instagram. I'll probably get this posted in a second to Instagram. And that's about it. So thank you so much for Felicia for being so kind, and Mitch and everyone. I'm going to be respectful of your time and let you go. There might be another live stream up right after mine. I'm actually not 100% sure. I guess I'll wait. Don't know if I've heard anything back from the team. But yeah, I have not. Either way. Are those fonts free? They are free if you're a Creative Cloud member. They are, right? All of these great fonts that you can go ahead and test out. These monospace fonts. Cool. All right, thanks, Zane. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I'll just leave this schedule on for you to enjoy. And everyone have a beautiful Monday. Be kind to one another. Give your mom a hug. And yeah, just be nice to one another, and just go create great stuff. Remember, it's more about people. It's not about money. And now I'll stop preaching to you. Everybody have a beautiful day. We'll see ya. Bye.
Poisonous waste is poured into our rivers, killing the fish and menacing the health of all of us. Rivers have been so polluted by the refuse from our towns and factories that they are often a menace to health. Serve the greatest good for the greatest number of people for the longest time.